Chapter 4 Fungi Life Cycle of a Mushroom, typically Agaricus bisporus. In this article we will discuss about Agaricus, and after reading this article you will learn about an Agaricus. Habit and habitat of an Agaricus. Agaricus is an edible fungi and most commonly known as a mushroom. It is a saprophytic fungi found growing on the soil, humus, and decaying little on the forest floor. About 17 species of Agaricus have been reported from the India, which commonly known as kukur mutta in UP and white button mushroom in Maharashtra. There are the several species. Some species of an agaricus are poisonous, like an Agaricus xanthoderma, and some species may cause gastrointestinal disturbance in some persons. The structural thallus plant body, that is a structure of thallus, it can be divided into two parts: vegetative mycelium living inside the soil. It is originated from the primary mycelium, and after the fusion of an hyphae of two opposite strains, the nucleus from the one hypha migrated to the other, and later on it gives rise to the binucleated secondary mycelium, that is dikaryotic, and tertiary mycelium. Second one is in vegetative, first one is a vegetative mycelium, and second is a tertiary mycelium or basidiocarp formed by the hyphae. The secondary mycelium grows extensively under the soil and become organized into the spatial tissues to form a fruiting body or basidiocarp, which is tertiary mycelium. The fruiting body appears like an umbrella above the ground. It is made up of a dikaryotic hyphae. The hyphae is septate and branch. The cell communicated with the one another by means of a central pore in a septum. It is a typical diaspora septum. So it consists of a cup volva at the bottom and stem, which is connected with the partial well with the cap. Caps contains gills under the side, and warts, that is a cap like structure. The vegetative mycelium is a primary mycelium, secondary mycelium, and the tertiary mycelium. Primary mycelium is a monokaryotic, short-lived, and developed from the germination of an basidiospores. The hyphae is septate and hyaline. The cells are short and contains oil globules, vacuoles, and in a thin protoplasm. Secondary mycelium, it is a dikaryotic and arose by the dikaryoticization through the somatogamy of the two compatible monokaryotic hyphae. The hyphae composing secondary mycelium are the long, branched, septate, have a short cells. Typical type diplopore septa and present between the adjacent cell. Secondary mycelium is more abundant, permeating, and produce mushroom yeast after the year after the year. Tertiary mycelium, the mycelium producing basidiocarp and maya mushroom are sometimes referred as a tertiary mycelium. It forms complex tissues which produce basidia and mycelium from the microscopic, thick, tangled, woody mass of called spawns. Reproduction. There are the three types of reproduction: vegetative, asexual, and sexual mode of reproduction. The vegetative reproduction takes place by the penetrating the mycelium and develop as a new mushroom. Asexual reproduction takes place through by chlamydospores that are produced, which are lateral or intercalary in position. On germination, they give rise in hyphae. And second is the odia, may be also be formed under the certain conditions, which are also known as a sexual function in digestion. Third is in sexual reproduction. The sexual reproduction is mainly somatogamous or pseudogamous. The sex organs are completely absent and their function has been taken over by the somatic hyphae, which are heterothallic. The few species of an agaricus, like an Agaricus campestris, are homothallic. It is taken through by the plasmogamy, karyogamy, or the meiosis. Plasmogamy, it is the first step in the sexual reproduction of an agaricus. The vegetative hybe is a uninucleated haploid cell from the mycelium of an opposite strand, that is heterothallic, or from the same mycelium, that is homothallic, come in contact and fuse with each other, and each of such fusion result into the binucleated cell. This dikaryotic cell by successive division gives rise to the binucleate or dikaryotic mycelium. This dikaryotic mycelium is perennial and produces the characteristics of a fruiting body of a mushroom year after year. Second is the karyogamy type. This is the second step in sexual reproduction. This step is considerably delayed and taken place in the young basidium. The fusion of the two nuclei of a dikaryon takes place. And the third is the meiosis. This is the third and the last step of a sexual reproduction. It takes place in a basidium prior and basidospore formation. Karyogamy is immediately followed by the meiosis. Thus, the basidospores formed after the meiosis are haploid. Structure of an basidiocarp. The basidiocarp is the aerial part of a fungus called as a fruiting body or basidiocarp of the fungus, is popularly known as a mushroom. The structure, the mushroom is umbrella shaped generally. The upper portion is called as a pileus or the cap. The circular and expanded. The young condition, the pileus is more or less button shaped and is completely enclosed by the thin membrane called velum. Stipe. The pileus is borne on a fleshy pinkish white stalk called stipe. As the pileus grows in the size, velum rupture and the remnant surrounded the stipes called annulus. Lamella or gills, the cavity in present under the pileus in which large number of thin vertical plate-like structures called a lamella. Gills are first pinkish, but as spores mature, they become dark brown in color. Each lamella consists of three parts: hymen, trama, and subhymen. Hymen. The hymen is the fertile region of a lamella, consists of a club-shaped binucleated cell forming a palisade like an ear of both sides of a lamella. So basidia and other are the sterile and develop to form and paraphysis rest them of elongated cells. They are produced beyond the paraphysis are called cytidia. Trama, internal to the hymen, is called trama. It consists of a multinucleated elongated cell. It extended from the hyphae of the pileus. Its hyphae are so oriented that their long axis lies parallel to the hymen. Subhymen, in between the hymen and the trama, there are the region composed of an hyphae arrangement at right angle to those of an trama. These cells of an hyphae are isodiametric and binucleated. Development of an basidiocarp. So basidiocarp is sterile as the tiny swelling consisting of a knot of an substratum hyphae of a secondary dikaryotic mycelium. This swelling enlarged into the broadly ovoid structure known as the basidiocarp primordia. Then a ring-shaped cavity is formed known as a prelamellar chamber. The portion of the primordium above the prelamellar cavity finally develop into the pileus, and below the portion is called as stipe. Development of an basidiospore. A. Second, in B there is a swelling. This swelling get increases and get structure change into the mushroom structure with the formation of a stipe. This basidiospore later on discharge in the form of a small liquid like structure by the liquid. The mature basidiospores are discharged by the water drop mechanism or water bubble method. A drop of a liquid develops at the hymen It increases in the size gradually and attain a size about 1/5 of the spores. This drop is called a Buller's drop. At the stage of basidious spores are generally shot away from the sterigmata. According to the latest view, the liquid drop contains a limiting membrane. The membrane rupture and releases pressure to the at the base of an basidious spore. The Buller's drop is not a liquid in nature, but actually a gas bubble of an CO2 on is made of an both gas and liquid. Basidiospores are shot horizontally from where they fall vertically downward. They are light in weight and are carried out by the wind. Such each basidiospore is uninucleated and have a small chitin and chitosome. Germination of an basidiospore. After falling on a substratum, basidiospore germinate to produce a primary, that is monokaryotic mycelium, which is either positive strain or the negative strain. The mycelium are two different strains fused to form a secondary or dikaryotic mycelium. Spontaneous capsulation or heterothallic in nature. However, in a homothallic species, a single basidiospore is capable to give rise to secondary mycelium. This secondary mycelium is developed into the basidioscarp. The systematic position of an Agaricus bisporus is kingdom fungi, division Eumycota, subdivision Basidiomycotina, class Hymenomycetes, subclass Holobasidiomycetes, order Agaricus, family Agaricaceae, genus Agaricus, and species Bisporus.